In the last 3 years, over 100 appliance and electronic stores have closed their doors. At the same time, one store has grown to become America's largest, with the top name brands, nationwide service, and 100 years of trust. Brand Central at Sears, where you get the brands you want at the store you trust.
Zemco, bringing tomorrow's technology to today's transportation. Cruise controls, driving computers, security systems, convenience electronics, performance electronics, navigation systems, electronic instrumentation. Zemco. The ZT12 Cruise Control, an advanced system designed for driving comfort, convenience, and safety. This videotape will show you how the ZT12 Cruise Control works and how to install and operate the system. Before we start the installation, let's take a look at how the system works. The command module is the system control. It is designed to look and mount like original equipment. The command module turns the cruise control on and off, sets the cruise speed, and increases or decreases the speed setting. The command module also signals the system to resume speed after braking. The throttle actuator houses a specialized computer which monitors current road conditions. Twice every second, it analyzes speed conditions and adjusts the throttle to keep speed constant. The throttle actuator efficiently controls the carburetor settings by using vacuum from the intake manifold. The magnetic speed sensor constantly measures the vehicle's speed through the use of magnets attached to the drive shaft. The ignition speed sensor reads pulses from the ignition coil to calculate speed. This is optional on some models. The brake disengage safety feature shuts off the cruise control. When you want to disengage the system, simply tap the brake pedal. Years of engineering and computer technology have made the Zemco ZT12 Cruise Control extremely simple to install. This video installation guide has been created by Zemco to provide you with professional tips and to highlight key installation points. The ZT12 command module can be mounted on the turn signal arm end, piggybacked on the turn signal arm, or attached directly to either side of the steering column. The ZT12 also has a unique design for convenient placement on the dash or console. The mounting stand is reversible, so you can attach the command module where it's best for you. All the necessary hardware is included. The throttle actuator is usually mounted on the driver's side. The best places to mount the throttle actuator are on the inner fender, the strut housing, or shock tower. Avoid mounting the throttle actuator directly to the firewall because sometimes the normal operation of the actuator can be heard inside the passenger compartment. Stay away from pulleys and from excessive heat, taking special care not to mount the actuator near the exhaust manifold. Before you drill, make sure that the cable can reach the carburetor easily. The cable should have a gentle curve. If the bend is too severe, the cable may bind or lock up. When mounting, it is best to use 2 screws on opposing sides. However, if you have to mount on a rounded surface, 2 screws on the same side will work just fine. Check before you drill to be certain you aren't drilling into important hoses, wiring, or other components. Drill 3/16-inch holes and mount using the 1/4 by 3/4 inch sheet metal screws provided. The Zemco cruise control has been preset at the factory. However, some adjustments can be made on the back of the throttle actuator. If you have to mount the throttle actuator so the adjustments are in a hard-to-reach area, then leave it loosely mounted or unattached. After a road test and adjustment, it can be tightened down. There are many possible ways to attach the throttle actuator cable to the carburetor, but these basics always apply. When the cable is attached, the carburetor position needs to be at the hot idle setting. The bead chain must be tight, like this, not slack, like this. There can be no movement of the cable housing where it's anchored near the carburetor. If there is movement, you will lose the pulling action of the throttle actuator, and the cruise control may surge. The cable must not rub against metal parts, otherwise it will fray or affect operation. The cable should pull on the throttle in a straight line, or at maximum, be within 20 degrees of the throttle pull. Be extremely careful about the cable getting bound up in the carburetor linkage. Watch the actual operation of the linkage several times. Double check this to be certain no binding can occur. If the carburetor linkage binds, it can be dangerous to you and your car. There are various ways of hooking up the actuator cable to the carburetor. Here are some different examples. Snap-on throttle arm. Wire loop to carburetor pulley. Ford linkage adapter. 3-bead connector. If you're using the existing throttle cable housing to secure the actuator cable, then mount the actuator cable right next to the existing throttle cable's anchor point. Otherwise, you will lose pulling action. If you decide to use the P-clamp and L-mount bracket to secure the actuator cable, modify the L-bracket as needed and mount securely. Check to see that there is no movement at the P-clamp and that the actuator cable can operate smoothly. If it's difficult to attach the actuator cable to the carburetor, you can pull the actuator cable through the firewall and attach the cable directly to the top of the accelerator pedal.
The connection machine system is a data parallel computer. It utilizes 64,000 processors, which are configured to match the data structures of specific applications. Applications areas include image processing, document retrieval, seismic processing, circuit optimization, circuit simulation, and fluid dynamics. The connection machine system is ideal for image processing. The analysis of aerial images is one such application. Here, 2 cameras are pointed down at a model terrain. Because the cameras are at different positions, each sees the scene from a slightly different angle. Elements of the scene that are above ground level jump noticeably between the 2 views. Elements that are low to the ground appear in the same position in each image. Connection machine stereo matching algorithms use this parallax phenomenon to compute the contours of the scene. Left and right images are brought into the system. Each image has 64K pixels. Each pixel is assigned to a separate processor. In a single computer operation, all the distortion in the images is removed. Next, the information in the images is compressed by keeping only the edges, the places in the image which go sharply from light to dark or dark to light. In the key step, the compressed images are shifted over each other. During this shift, areas where the terrain is high will align first. The lowest level areas will align last because they jump the least from left view to right view. The height of every edge section of the overall scene is computed from the alignment information gathered in the previous step. Here, the highest edges are shown in the lightest tones. The lowest areas are dark. Next, the height information is filled in for all the areas between the edges. And a contour map is computed. Processing requires 500 million computer operations and runs in half a second. Scientists are using the connection machine system to pioneer new approaches to fluid dynamics simulation. Previous methods have been based on partial differential equations. The connection machine approach models packets of particles directly. Operation of the system is straightforward. The flow of fluid can be started and stopped interactively. The density of the fluid can be adjusted up or down, as can the velocity. Several different flow parameters may be observed. Setup is straightforward. The user simply places an object into the fluid field and starts the simulation. At the beginning of the run, we see two vortices form behind the plate. In the color version of the output, the initial shock wave is clearly visible. The unsettled area behind the flat plate stretches out until it finally becomes unstable and breaks away. As the simulation proceeds, the whole complex behavior of fluids emerges. Vortices shed alternately from the top and bottom edges of the plate. Production of this 30-second sequence required 15 minutes of connection machine time. The results obtained by simulation match the behavior observed in real-world fluids. It is also easy to create new objects. Once created, objects may be placed in the fluid field and meaningful results obtained in a minute or so. The connection machine system updates 750 million sites per second. These 6 applications are suggestive of the many types of problems that connection machine systems solve. Applications cover the spectrum from words to pictures to numbers, and from commercial database to scientific problem solving. They also illustrate the ease with which the connection machine system is programmed. Each of these applications required less than a person-year to implement.
Just won't let me be, blues that keep on bothering me, chains that just won't set me free. Too far away from you and all your charms, just out of reach of my two open arms. Each night in dreams I see your face, memories time cannot erase. Then I awake and find you gone. I'm so blue and all alone, so far away from lips so sweet and warm, just out of reach of my two open arms. you both night and day, so close and yet so far away. I pray the Lord to keep you from all harm, while out of reach of my two.
You're watching Sleepcore. Pleasant dreams.
Walk, 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 walk. Walking down the electronic street. Walking down electronic street. Walking down the 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 electronic street.
Hi, I'm Carlton Sheets, and I'm so excited about the program we're going to be doing today, which I've entitled Triple Your Profits in a Third the Time. You're going to learn how, by buying multifamily properties and making some small cosmetic improvements, you can dramatically increase the value of that property. For example, in this multifamily property that I've purchased, no money down, I'm going to be doing some landscaping, repainting the building, finishing the parking lot. And by spending a small amount of money, I will be raising the value of this property about $150,000. So sit back, relax, and learn what I think is the very best way to make big profits, and that is by buying multifamily properties.
Welcome to the Carlton Sheets Real Estate video series and this presentation. And now your host, Carlton Sheets.
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you so much. I hope I justify that applause in about an hour, hour and a half when we're all through. But you know, I really am excited about the program we're going to be doing now on multifamily properties, which I have entitled Triple Your Profits in a Third Your Time, because you literally can do that with multifamily properties. I'm going to start off talking about the advantages and disadvantages of multifamily properties, but I want to tell you that I was not privy to sitting down and weighing out all the advantages and disadvantages before I got in the business. I kind of was forced in the back door because I was fired from my job, as many of you know, and I was looking for a good educational course to attend as my very first one, and it happened to be on partnerships, and it really was kind of a turnoff to me, the thought of going to a course on putting together partners. But there's no other one scheduled in my area, so I did that, and I came out absolutely excited about the potential that partners provided for me in buying multifamily properties. And that never even occurred to me way back then that single-family homes might be a good investment. And even though today I recommend in my home study course that people, when they're just getting started, should look at single-family homes for a number of reasons, which I'll mention in just a moment, nonetheless, the big money, and I mean really big money in real estate, is made through multifamily properties. Why would you want to buy multifamily properties? Well, number one, very plain and simply, multifamily properties on a per unit basis are much, much less expensive than single-family homes. For example, in some of the large metropolitan areas of this country, San Francisco, Los Angeles, New York, Boston, single-family homes many times are prohibitive in terms of buying them and being able to rent them out for a sufficient income to justify the purchase and to cover all the expenses. For example, a single-family home in some areas of the New York area might run $140,000 or $160,000, while you could buy a four-family for $200,000. So the price per unit becomes very critical, especially in high-cost areas. Economies of scale. When you've got a multifamily property, frequently you'll have the need for a plumber on maybe more than one unit, so they can come out and service two or three problems at the same time. Well, if you've got a single-family home, it means them traveling if there are multiple problems. And so there are certainly economies of scale, not only in purchasing, but also in service contracts with multifamily. There's also, interestingly enough, a greater chance of finding motivated sellers with multifamily properties. You and I both know that single-family home sellers frequently are very emotional about their property. You're dealing with an entirely different breed when you're talking about the owner of a multifamily property. So many times they are more motivated to sell, and if not more motivated, certainly more flexible. Which brings me to the next point, and that is seller financing is far more likely with multifamily properties than it is with single family. And you know, one thing I like too, and that is that management is concentrated. I mean, if I own a 30 or 50 unit apartment building, and I've owned them all the way up to about 185 units, I think, if I own a large apartment building, it is a whole lot easier for me to manage that property than it would be to manage a comparable number of single-family homes. There's a lot to be said about the ease of selling as well, and you and I both know that you make your money not when you sell property, but when you buy. You've got to buy right to sell right. So you think about selling the property at the time you buy it, and selling is easier with a multifamily property. There's a diffusion of vacancy risk. You own a couple of three single-family homes, one becomes vacant, you've got a 33% vacancy rate. With multifamily, the chances of there being a high vacancy rate is pretty remote. On the other hand, I would say that if you did have 100 single-family homes, despite the fact that it would be very cumbersome to manage, if you had 100 single-family homes, the overall occupancy rate on the single-family would be greater than it is on the multifamily. Nonetheless, I think the ease of management offsets that. But while we're talking about advantages, let's also acknowledge the disadvantages of multifamily properties. You need to know about that as you go in. It's in no way a discouragement from your buying multifamily properties, but there's no question the tenant turnover is greater. Single-family residents will frequently occupy a single-family home for a matter of years sometimes, 2, 3, 4 years. I've even got single-family residences that have been with me as long as 10 and 12 years. With multifamily properties, usually it's a transition, so the tenants frequently will stay on an average not much longer than a year. The tenant mentality is different. I have to agree with that. Single-family homes, many of the residents in a single-family home will care for their properties, take care of small things that may come up. While in a multifamily property, they want it done by you, the landlord. So there's a little bit of a different mentality. And I think finally, operating costs on the whole are greater with multifamily properties than they are with single-family. I look on single-family operating costs somewhere in the 20% range, plus whatever taxes have to be paid on the property. And in multifamily properties, including taxes and management, I usually figure between 40 and 50% of the effective gross income as a cost to own and operate that property. Now, I'm in no way discouraging you from multifamily properties, believe me. In fact, the other way around, I'd love to see you get into that business if your time, your mentality, your contacts with partners, or your own cash or credit situation would allow you to do it. But I just think it's important when you go into a new endeavor that you be aware of some of the disadvantages as well as the advantages.
Drum is hitting at a hardcore beat. Don't bother even moving, staying right in your seat. They're captivating my controller, elevating your act. Just sweetie, what to now? How do you like that? With my ballpoint pen, I write out my show. In a taxi, every place that I go. Eat, gotta see, cause they know me every town. And my sexy reputation won't let me down. Drive around, you tell all the I Christian rules. Until they say,